Alright, unmuting and transition. Boop. Alrighty, let's see what we got here. After the incident at the pit, Mash and Ace began investigating the ruins all around the Britain. Their only leads were the stories passed down within the Mirror Clan, and the murals left by the Rain Clan. And so they set out from west to east on a great adventure in search of written records left behind by the humans. Between running into Moors, getting attacked by anti-Londinium fairies, and fighting the occasional giant monster when Esk felt like it, things weren't always easy. But when all was said and done, these travels became lovely memories. Of course, it helped that Mash was always so strong and awesome no matter what. Hey Mash, didn't you call me by some weird name when we first met? I guess I did. I'm sorry. You, looked so much like someone else I know that it just slipped out. Really? There's someone out there who looks just like me? What are they like? I only spent a little time with her, but that was enough for me to know she's a wonderful person. She's brave and kind and dependable, and she spent a lot of time in her workshop making all sorts of clothes. Her name is Habitrot. She's a very happy fairy who wants nothing more than to be a friend to brides everywhere. Whoa. So there's a fairy like that in the future, huh? I guess her name does sound a lot like mine. Maybe it's a fake name, like Ask's. Maybe she's trying to cover up her true name. That's enough, Mash. You agreed not to tell us too much about the future, remember? You're right. I'm sorry. I thought it would make Totoro happy, and I didn't stop to think about what I was doing. Gotcha. You could be pretty careless sometimes, huh, Mash? I'm sorry, too. Still, I like the idea of being a friend to brides everywhere, too. It sounds like a great life to me. Well, they had a lot of conversations like that, so I thought I'd include one for posterity. Anyway, the search through ruins lasted about 5 months. They didn't learn much, but they didn't give up either. They kept doggedly pursuing the threads of Britain's history and eventually arrived at the priestess's prophecy. It was Britain's first prophecy of destruction, a curse left behind by the first human, the priestess of an enshrined deity. It predicted there would be 4 major wars named after the 4 seasons, but the War of Winter had not yet happened. They never did find out what it meant. Really, all we got from our expedition was a lot of fun memories. And while I know I've already written this down several times, let me remind you once again that this took place in FAE era 400. Now there were only a few days to go until the coronation at Londinium, which would decide the fate of all of Britain. And as one of the key figures in that coronation, Ace needed to return to the castle soon. There, needlework's all done. All I have to do now is make the embroidery motifs. I think I'll make a purple rose for Ace and a blue rose for Mash. Let me see. You did a good job. I have no complaints. You've gone from crybaby to expert. This is why I love handicrafts. Although I'm not sure about using embroidery for the brooch. Ask's going to be a queen, so she should have something that shines. I think a pattern of beads modeled after the world tree should do the trick. Here, give me that. Let me show you how it's done. Whoa, have you always been that good with your hands, Black Knight? You're like some sort of sewing master. Totoro's changed so much since you came along, Mash. It's all thanks to you. We've been together for hundreds of years, but I've never seen this side of her before. I really am a terrible friend. I was so caught in the fighting, I never even noticed that Totoro was going through. And she's always been there for me. Oh no, it was nothing. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, that's all. And the only reason Totoro got interested in making clothes in the first place is the upcoming coronation. She said she wanted to make you a gown so pretty you would be the fairest fairy in all of Britain. So I'm sure she would have gone on to become a great tailor even if I'd never shown up. Isk? Alright. I think you deserve to know at least a little of how I really feel. I'm no savior, Mash. All I want to do is keep Britain itself alive. I no longer have any intention of saving all its fairies or of protecting humans like you. Huh? What are you saying? You are protecting everyone. I've seen it myself. Here's the thing, Mash. For the last 3,600 years, I've been dispelling the calamities that appear every 100 years, and the great calamities that appear every 1,000. Before, when I said I would let the fairies handle the aftermath and go to sleep in a coffin, well, it wasn't the whole truth. The truth is, every time I saved them from a calamity, the fairies would come after me. I've never known a moment of true peace. The only thing I could ever do was run for my life and hibernate for years at a time. I'm sure that at the start I really did want to build an ideal nation. But not now. Not anymore. Every time I decide to work harder and finally get it right next time, I only ever end up having more stones thrown at me. I've been imprisoned, crucified, beheaded, drowned, burned. The only thing they haven't done is poison me. So by now I've stopped putting my hopes in fairies. My only companions are Totoro, the Black Knight, and Rhynek. I'm not even sure about Uther. Even they only see me as an important tool, nothing more. So I only fight to protect Britain for myself. It's the only place I belong. That's why I'm going to unify the fairies and give humans the right to build a kingdom. That's the Britain I want. The sort of story proper human history would never allow. I've never been Ask the Savior. I'm just Ask the Witch. But surely there must have been at least one good fairy, right? One who believed in you and understood you? Wasn't there ever a single fairy you genuinely wanted to help? No, there wasn't. Not a single one. That's why things turned out this way. Mash, you came here from the era of the High Queen. I don't know which faction you belong to in that time. I can never know, for if I did, that would change what happens in the future. I've been vacillating for a long time now, whether to kill you or save you. But I don't think it matters now. This is the FAE era. A history entirely of the Tree of Emptiness is making. And as long as that tree exists, anything goes in this Lost Belt. No matter what may be added to this world, it will simply adjust its history to match. Things don't have to make sense in a world with a Tree of Emptiness. The reason Morgan was so cavalier about using the water mirror to send things back in time to the FAE era is her awareness that nothing which changed in the FAE era will affect the start of the era of the High Queen. So you're saying worlds created by trees of emptiness can tolerate a fair number of discrepancies without falling apart? That's right. That's why I'm here. The FAE era is the last point in time where things can be so wibbly-wobbly. The moment you spoke of the era of the High Queen, I had a flash of insight as to how the future must have played out. She must have used all the magical energy stored inside the Tree of Emptiness to transform this Lost Belt into a singularity. I still won't know why she chooses to do that until the time comes, of course. But in the meantime, Mash, I can tell you that you can only exist while the FAE era lasts. In 400 years, at the start of the era of the High Queen, you'll disappear whether you're still alive or dead. You do understand that, right? Yes, I arrived in Britain in the year 2019 of the era of the High Queen. Since I didn't exist in that era before that date, when the Tree of Emptiness dies. I swear, just because FAE era's history can be changed, that doesn't give her the right to send every problem she can't handle back to the past and let nature disappear it for her. And now she started sending servants as well as calamities? Unbelievable. That's just pathetic is what it is. So I guess the least I can do is make things right. Since I'm mixed up in all of this too, it's my responsibility to send you back to the future you came from. Are you sure? No, wait, is that even possible? In a way, yes. It should work as long as there aren't any historical inconsistencies leading up to the Calamity of Norwich in year 2019 of the era of the High Queen. So, how would you feel about hiding out in the furthest edge of the world where no one would ever see you? Ugh. That's an interesting question. Alright. Section 18. So I'm gonna need a moon cancer. Perfect. And then we'll go with caster team. Yeah, that ought to do it. As for the Mystic Code, yeah, I could go with this. There's the Tree of Emptiness over on the far shore. So this is the Lake District. Damn, this Tree of Emptiness must have been huge. Even compared to the others we've seen so far. So this is the tree that withered away 2,000 years ago. And that Morgan then burned down to destroy the Tree of Emptiness in Olympus a few months ago. Hey, Silver Shinobi. Artoria still hasn't cheered up. What's going on with her? Is this your first time to the Lake District, Artoria? Huh? Oh, yeah. I was just thinking, so this is the famous Lake District. It, sure is as pretty as a picture, isn't it? Also just as quiet. Did I mention quiet? Damn, you have no poker face at all, do you? You're obviously still thinking about what Barghest told us, right? Don't keep it to yourself. Is this barrel good truly Morgan's master? Huh, that is the question. Though, of course, the real question might be, is Morgan actually a servant? It's a hell of a conundrum, that's for sure. Silver Shinobi and I have been going back and forth trying to square that circle ever since we got here. At first, I thought Morgan was the king of this lost belt. Same. I mean, she'd pretty much have to be if she's been ruling here for 2,000 odd years. But after meeting Morgan and Beryl in Camelot... You mean when Beryl said he was Morgan's master and she didn't deny it? So Morgan's not Beryl's servant, but Beryl is Morgan's master. That's a brain buster, ain't it? I don't even know where to begin. Any ideas as to how that could work, Da Vinci? I'm afraid not. There's just too little information to work with. If Holmes were here, he could string a number of theories together into a plausible hypothesis, but he's not. What about you, Artoria?